Shout out to the old school, back in the days. Missing all the good times, don't let the memories fade. Shout out.
Hey, how cozy this is in
Leland.
Regent Park. Good
Hello.
May 18th, everyone. Welcome to the Regent Park Radio.
Let me just make sure
And
this.
I'm Thunder Cloud. You just call me Thunder.
I'm Gabriel Meissner. You can just call me Gabriel.
Hey, Gabe. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Are we happy in Regent Park?
I think as happy as we're gonna get.
We've got it all here.
Just make sure
I
this
tell
goes.
you. Well, interesting. I went to a uh, entrepreneurs meeting the other night in Regent Park at the 660 Dundas Street East Pavilion building, the
Oh,
new
yeah.
beautiful building, newish. But I met some very interesting people from that big building company called Tridel that's responsible for number 4 and 5 of the development in Regent Park. And they've got some really good things cooking for us. They've even got like entrepreneurial things that people can actually cook at and sell their food.
Oh.
And we're getting also plans for container stores. And I'm in.
What? Oh, so it's the idea is you bring your own container and.
No, a container like a storefront container. Think big. Think out of
I'm
the,
just imagining.
think in the box.
I'm imagining a container you'd buy in a store, and this building looks like one of those containers.
Different container. You know the train cars that are containers?
Yeah.
Well, they're very hard to acquire, although another initiative I work with has two. And the person responsible for that one container was a fellow who has a fruit stand in Regent Park. And he acquired it in a different community in Moss Park. So I've done workshopping in the container, which is a small dwelling, and you have to, add on ramps. They can be renovated. Sometimes they come really bare bones because they're pretty expensive. Like they start at anywhere from some are used, some are new. So they start anywhere from probably around 1K if you're lucky, more like 2K to 5K if you want windows and all the bells and whistles. So it was very interesting. So there's other options for store frontage. There are the condos being built. Tridel's going to build, and they're, I believe, said to be something like 30 odd floors high, which is a real sun blocker. But, people need places to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I want to mention that I'm really pleased with the rule changing for the homeless outside that live with the elements for various reasons. And they really shouldn't be judged, people who live outside. During COVID, like
Mm-hmm.
they were getting sick. The conditions in the shelters were horrendous. People were sick, dying, unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
So the laws change and they're allowed to stay in the parks now.
That's good. But actually, this is interesting because today my friend Kedar and I went to Allen Gardens because, as you know, there's a lot of tents in Allen Gardens. A lot of people living there. But there's the Allen Garden resident community that wants to get rid of those tents, or a large portion of people want to get rid of those tents for various reasons. There's been a murder, a stabbing, and people are worried. They want this park to return to being a family-friendly place where everyone can go and hang out. And so Kedar and I went to that park, and we interviewed some of the people there.
How'd it go?
It was really good. It was really good. A little sad because some of these people who have tents there, they put a lot into making these tents really nice. Part of the reason they don't want to be in shelters is because, there's bed bugs, roaches,
Violence.
violence, lack of privacy. And so they have these tents and they make them really nice. But if they're gone from the tent for more than a day, the city often comes and tears them down.
That's right.
Which is really sad too, because some of these tents, like, they don't have tarps; they just have tinfoil that's like been patched onto it just to prevent rain and stuff from eroding the tent.
It is sad. Well, I know a little bit about that because I'm a counselor advocate for assaulted people. I just say people, period. It was women and children, the somewhat of a course at George Brown College.
Oh.
Years back, 1995, I graduated pretty much as an honor student. It's just not easy out there with the elements and the way it's gone. I mean, the removal was so the removal of these people who some have decided to stay outside, some have decided not to go to shelters, and some just don't plumb have a choice because they have serious mental health issues, whatever it may be. And you know what? There's a really fine line that you could be working one day and all functional, and you could have a nervous breakdown. Or, somebody in your family could die. It could send you right over that fine line. And, I've been in different places in my life, and I'm try to be pretty empathetic. So let's take a stance on trying to understand why they're out there. I mean, we've got homeless in Regent Park as well. Some live outside due to the unsafeness in the shelters with the violence and with the pandemic, the germs, and etc. And so more people had chosen to stay outside and not go to the shelters, and that's so understandable. And it is sad because there's a certain spot where I'm housed. I'm grateful, and there's a place where unhoused, I'll say, instead of homeless, frequent or transient. I don't know if that's acceptable term anymore.
I don't even know what that means. Transient.
I don't want to get all political every moment of my life because that means you're educated if you're political, by the way, don't you think?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Educated?
Yeah.
Oh, educated is good if you have the funds or the money or the
It's
bursary or the scholarship.
I guess I always associate political with there's a stigma about politicians becoming jaded at a certain point. And that's always what happens in that always comes to mind. It's like they all come with great plans and they're educated, and then something happens and they don't follow through.
So, Gabe, it was an interesting meeting at the entrepreneur night. It was let's see, when was that? I'm getting all my days mixed up here. It was very recent, and I thought, well, let me give this a try because things around my position elsewhere had changed, and I was forced to be self-employed, to say, or an alternative to have my pay taken away. And anyway, it was a mistake, and it was all arranged, fixed up. So
wait,
anyway,
I'm confused. What are you saying? You were self-employed.
No, well, many times, but anyway, there was a bit of an issue somewhere, and now I have become self-employed. That's why I'm here.
Oh.
So, as well, in supporting this wonderful studio and Focus Media. So, anyway, it was really interesting. This Regent Park entrepreneurs, which is a French word, I believe. We have markets in Regent Park, so you're all welcome to come. One's happening on the 27th at Daniels, where we're situated here in the lower level. I can't remember what that hall's called. Before Ainsley Hall, Ada Slate Hall, pardon me,
right,
and the entranceway.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be down there, I believe, and it's going to be a mix of food and clothing and
Is that the bazaar?
the bazaar.
I thought that was on the 24th.
20.
I put that on my calendar as the 24th, but
What day have you got?
I have it on a Wednesday, I believe. Because
No.
I was actually looking at that. There's a simple solution. Bazaar. Okay,
Okay, Gabe's gonna check that, and I'm a promoter, so I think I may have it right. I hope I have it right. So, it's very interesting. We have the bazaars. One on the 20. He'll find out, or we will let you know as soon as we can. And I also mentioned it last week, which my date was the 27th.
can't find it. It might, yeah, maybe I just got it
So, the 27th, and I believe that's a Saturday. Did you check the day?
wrong. The 27th would be a Saturday. The
Yeah, okay.
24th is the Wednesday.
Okay. So, anyway, on to the other bazaar, which happens at the pavilion building where the entrepreneurs meeting was at 660 Dundas Street East. Every Friday, I believe it's from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., there is a bazaar there. So come on over and never mind cooking, because you can be fed for a very reasonable amount, and get quality food, like spicy, not spicy. We have a great person in our community and many great people in our community. We have Inez Garcia will be at the bazaars making cotton candy, empanadas, and hot dogs and popcorn. So bring the kids. And there's jewelry and all kinds of things. And you may even see me at the bazaars because I'm a little bit bizarre. So just to move on a little bit from there, so that container is a dwelling more. It's a storefront, large container. They're possibly like anywhere from 10 feet more to like 15 feet or so, or 20. And then you could stack them. And at Scatting Court, they have that going on. And a fellow from our neighborhood helped initiate this container movement in Regent Park and Moss Park as well. Anyway, so I met the people from Tridel, and it's a big building company. My mom's used to be a real estate agent. She's 84. And I said, Mom, do you know who Tridel is? She says, yes, they're big builders and probably more. So they were very friendly to me, because also they're doing actually good things in the community as well, not just building buildings and making money. They're actually, we have a voice in Regent Park about where our money goes. And I believe they're giving, I think it's $28K.
Mm-hmm. Or it's 26.8.
Yeah, okay.
Is that the one they're giving to the Regent Park community?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually, sorry to interrupt, there was
No, that's what you're here for.
Yeah. There was this,
You're polite.
an SDP meeting, a few days last week, where the community got together here and talked about how that money was going to be distributed, and yeah, it was actually very nice. They were asking how many people were unemployed in the crowd, in the neighborhood, and about 6 people put up their hands, and they were just trying to figure out what the best way to spend that money is.
And this is it here. How should 26.8 million in community benefits be invested for the benefit of Regent Park? So it's really great. We're one of the only communities, I heard from the city when I was at one of the SDP meetings, that we actually have a voice, and we run and organize where our money is going in our funding. So, which empowers us, it gives us control, and we end up living in a community that is for us, run by us. it's kind of cooperative in a sense. So it was interesting at that meeting. They talked about a path um, of different things, and they asked us, what do we see as entrepreneurs? We broke up into, I think it was 4 groups or so. One group was the market and bazaar, and where do you see yourself in these, on the path in the groups. And then the second one was for um, the bazaar. There's one I just forget. And then, oh, I know, it was the beginning, because was a business person, a clown and magician, and I was a jeweler like way back. I used to make jewelry out of recycled material when I was 18, and now I'm middle-aged, just say. So anyway, we ended up, then there was I went in the market group to learn a little bit, and then I ended up in the container, which is something to house a store, and you can live in containers as well. I've done workshopping in containers. I've run markets in containers.
I'm still confused about these containers. Are they on wheels?
They don't have to be. They're usually, you know what they are? They're shipping containers. So you put them on a train, and you see a train going by. You ever seen a train going by and there's all these colored cars, and they call them cars?
Those are the containers.
Those are shipping containers.
Oh, and they're stagnant now, or they're just stationary.
Yeah. Like, they can be removed, they can be stacked.
Oh,
They're
nice.
pretty much waterproof. They're probably made of steel.
So people can work in those and live in those, and
Yes.
Huh.
So, I mean, some ventilation has to be, put in for safety, supposedly. And you can renovate them where, like, if you have these huge steel doors with, pipes across or whatever, that you open them up, and, you can usually they make a wheelchair ramp, because we have a large population of people with disabilities in our community as well. So one of the containers that I've worked out of has a wheelchair ramp, and we're getting another wheelchair ramp on the other one soon. And we've put lights in. We're getting a new floor. It's a new container, and we're getting like special window and door glass inside the big doors that, unfortunately, we're in an urban place, so we have to lock them up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was really interesting, and there were 4 groups, I believe, and I can't really remember the other group right now. So so there was that, and I'm involved in the safety networking group, Gabe, and for quite a few years now. And we have an issue in Regent Park and many other neighborhoods as well, with people coming and lighting fireworks, but using them in a non-decorative way or entertainment way.
In a violent way?
Yes. They're using them in a violent way and actually shooting at other people. And they even have a name, like the Fireworks Wars. So it's become a game, which is not a funny game. I'm asking you to please take the children, or please go to a professional fireworks, which I'm certified. I'm a certified pyrotechnician and magician.
Should have flashed them.
So I am licensed to do fireworks for professionally, but I don't fool around with it. And that's why I'm permitted, because fireworks are made of explosives, as I said at my meeting. And they're not to be pointed at anyone. They're supposed to be taken, put in a holder in the ground, or put in sand in the ground, and lit professionally with knowledge that we learn, permitted through our training. And you usually have to stand back as well because they can pop up, they can get, they can misfire. Not all of them are made really well. They're made in factories with probably workers being exploited, and who knows. So who knows where they're getting, or homemade things like
That's
this.
why I consider getting really dangerous.
Yeah,
Being
this is not
homemade.
it's not fun and games anymore. This has come to shooting and violence. So I'm asking adults to take, or brothers or sisters or siblings or cousins or whoever, or dads, take your kids to the professional fireworks, or make sure you're with them so they don't get into these wars. Holler and tell people that's not okay. And it was like I heard in broad daylight many times, and and it's not around holidays. There are laws around fireworks. Now, from a police officer, his last name Thompson, he has indicated that there will be a fine, I believe it's of a $500 amount fine, if anyone is caught doing fireworks not within the certain period of time allowed by law, that the fine will be instilled. And whoever in the family, it might cost your parents $500. Think of what you can do with $500. You can buy a new headset like
Really
these,
nice ones,
hey?
too. Really good ones.
So we could do this, and I have hearing aids, so sometimes I don't wear these.
You
So-
think it's those kids, but it might be the parents who are
It's-
setting off these fireworks.
Guess what? It's
Fireworks.
everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all kids once, right? And I had an interest because I'm a clown and magician in my other life. I was Wedgie the clown way many years ago, and now I'm Thunder the storyteller, and I do magic.
Ooh.
Some of you have seen me out there, so I might flip some tricks for you.
But
Not sure about.
What Thunder won't do though is light fireworks when it's not that given period.
Oh no, I'm certified.
Oh,
I can do it
you can do
whenever I
Oh,
want.
never mind. Take it back.
As long as it's all organized and permissed, right? Yeah, so that's why I have this certification. So just want to move on. Speaking of that, so everybody really take care out there, because like I said, it's not a game. It's not the real war. And if you think of veterans, a lot of people lose their limbs. You can lose an eye if you point it at your friend. You may be mad at somebody. Work it out. Go for an ice cream instead. Spend 99 cents at Wendy's instead, or go play soccer. There's lots of activities to do in Regent Park besides shoot the heck out of each other. Bleep.
Yeah, spend the $500 on ice cream
Exactly.
or something else.
Something enjoyable, or run around the track, or go to the beach. They have a professional fireworks display there, and other places. They used to have it at the X, and they had the Worlds. I love those.
Never been.
Oh, yeah,
Never seen it.
you're a little.
I'm from Waterloo, so.
Oh, Waterloo, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of that, I would like to mention there's a service, and I'm not sure if it's a service. It's called Mental Health Matters, and the mission is educating and enhancing the mental health and well-being of marginalized youth, reducing the stigma of mental health, and providing support and connections to services in Regent Park. The vision is to provide educational workshops to youth and mental health and strategies to overcome mental health challenges and aid their recovery, and giving them a greater sense of identity, self-worth, while also strengthening community resilience. And they have three main goals: address the stigma of mental health in our community and provide a safe space for at risk youth and talk about mental health challenges they are experiencing. Goal number 2 is bring awareness of mental health disorders to youth and who are not aware of all the signs and symptoms. And goal 3 is to increase the confidence in youth to address mental health challenges by giving them the opportunity to talk about challenges they face while providing peer and professional support through their road and recovery. So you can contact them on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
Instagram at RP Mental Health Matters, and Facebook Mental Health Matters, and email mentalhealthmatters341@gmail.com. Now, I am not a youth, but I always will keep the child or the youth inside.
Oh yeah.
And outside too.
God bless.
Okay, so here I am again, and this is, I'd like to mention Toronto Community Crisis Service and the Two-Spirited People of the First Nations. I'm wearing this really nice Two-Spirited shirt here. I'm little, so I'll just get off to show you my new shirt. And anyway, that's the Two-Spirited People. I'm a they. I identified as masculine and feminine together. And I love also the 4 colors, which is the medicine wheel, the 4 colors. And there's a lot of, 211 is really good. If you can call 211, there's all kinds of information you can get. This is an Indigenous mental health crisis response service, and it's a really good service. It's for mental health crisis support, harm reduction, and case management. So I'm not going to get into that today, what harm reduction is and all that. It's another judgy topic, so I want to make sure that I deliver that properly. And just like the homelessness issues, let's have a heart for people who may be different than us, and educate yourselves. Ask your friends or people about, hey, what's going on, or what is this, if you don't know, or ask a teacher or a mentor or somebody in our community. Anyway, we have this fabulous magazine called Catch the Flavor. This is my copy. It's been around a bit in red. It's Regent Park's monthly magazine. So it's wonderful. And there's Adonis Huggins, our founder of the Regent Park Focus Art Center. And I just want to say thank you for carrying the magazine to Captain's Fish and Chips on Parliament Street. Go over and see Neil. Say hi to him. He's got patties. He's got fish and chips. He has hamburgers. He has fries. He has onion rings, scallops, pops, and ginger beer. It's my favorite. So, thank you.
Oh, sorry. So I was just going to say we should transition over to the mayoral race soon.
I just also want to give a thank you to Hyderabad Express.
Hyderabad. I think that's
Hyderabad. Sorry. Hyderabad Express, and it's at 234 Parliament Street in Toronto. They have a nice butter chicken and a really extensive menu, and they serve very quickly, and it's all fresh. They have samosas as well. So thank you for carrying the magazine, and that's about it. And let's take it over to the mayoral talk.
Yeah. So I just watched a video with Josh Matlow talking about what he's going to do for the community. And by far, out of the different people running, he's at least from what I can find, he said the most about what he's going to actually change. And he was saying how he wants to, he's going to provide a lot of units for homeless people in new buildings that are being built, because as you can see all around here, there's sky rises that are rising like by the minute. And it sounds very promising what he was saying, but it's also like, how realistic is all of the things that he's proposing? Yeah, and this brings me back to what Kedar and I were doing earlier in Allen Gardens, where we were seeing what the situation is. And I mean, there's a lot of people who seem to have fallen through the cracks and have been dealt a really bad hand by the city, by the rising prices of living, by COVID, lack of employment. And there's that, but there's also this drug epidemic that seems to be going on, and like, how many of these people will actually stay in shelters? How many of these people can actually get their lives back together if they're provided with a house?
Or who's to say that their lives are not together because they live in a tent or outside?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, actually, explain. What are you saying?
well, I think you said get their lives together.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because someone is homeless or lives in a tent that, or you also said fell through the cracks. So some of us know what that means. Due to certain circumstances in their lives, they could have lost their jobs or gone into the hospital and had disability or sickness. That can bring on financial inability to pay a rent. And the rents now, in this day and age, you have to pay first and last month's rent. Some people don't even know, or damage deposit. Some people don't even know that. So youth and kids and people, when you move out, you have to save up 2 months of rent. And usually the landlords aren't that negotiating type anymore. They used to be back in the day, but because a lot of the housing's corporate as well. So it's like you pay it on the first, and if you don't pay, there's laws, there's landlord and tenant laws.
Yeah.
We do have legal clinics. They can help in housing. So continue. Yeah,
no,
it's interesting.
That's a really good point, because for you to actually start living in Toronto is virtually impossible. I mean, a lot of the rent around here is $3,000 a month, and you're paying first and last of the lease. I mean,
it's
that's
tough.
that's $9,000 you just have to rack up, which is impossible. Like, it's impossible for most people who live here. And if you leave the city, then you're taking on a huge risk of will you be able to find a house in a smaller city outside of Toronto? Will you be able to start up your life there? And the reason I said don't have their lives together, I mean it more so like there's these organizations like the one I was saying, or not organizations, but communities that want to get rid of people who are living in the park. And a lot of those people don't want to leave because they finally have some modicum of security living in a tent, as opposed to living in a dangerous shelter or an unclean shelter. And it just seems like it's very much a problem that can't be solved.
And it's a community. It's not, I mean, I don't want to repeat any of the words that I've heard to stigmatize homeless or unhoused or people with disabilities, mental health, people with drug and alcohol challenges, which is mental health as well. Or, I mean, it's really hard. Imagine having a mental health issue where I know in one particular location around here, I don't want to use the word lower functioning, but some people are disabled and ill, have mental health issues, and they're not welcome in the other, we used to call them encampments. But I think an encampment, we should just, I don't know. I can't speak on that. That's for the people there, um, residing, living there, to say what they feel
Yeah.
living in the park or living at the side of the road or wherever it may be outside on Mother Earth. It's nothing bad about that. By the way, we all started out that way.
Exactly.
Europeans came here and they built dwellings.
Yeah.
Like the land was taken, like it was all indigenous peoples here, and the land was taken. Um, colonialism happened, and um, the dominant cultures came. A lot of it was funded by Spain, um, and it was Italians and French came here first after the first people, the indigenous people, and so it was all we were all outside. In fact, you can go to Allen Gardens, and it's not a visiting place to go and talk to the homeless people unless you're doing outreach. But there are teepees there that are for the sacred fire and for healings there. Because a lot of those people are in need of health care and they deserve it. Let's start taking away the stigma and realizing that fine line, you can lose your housing or you could lose your shelter room because you didn't get there on time.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. There's a 3 a.m. curfew, I believe. Something like that. Yeah.
I think they vary depending on where you are. Anyway, Gabe, continue. It's interesting.
That's I think all I have to say. It's a pretty heavy topic.
I've been going out and doing outreach and just giving out socks and toiletries, which can be toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant, hair combs. People often need, sometimes they'll drop off some clothing, sometimes they need sleeping bags. I mean, there are a few groups and organizations and initiatives that do outreach, and Building Roots does outreach, and Two Spirits of the First Nation also does harm reduction. So there are a few, and Anishinaabe Health is really a great health centers, and we have we're very fortunate. We have a lot of good health centers downtown, not just Indigenous, but all various health centers. I did have an issue. I was in the hospital last week. Might have a Baker's cyst, which is known to be behind the knee, and where I left an appointment and I got up out of the chair after sitting for about an hour in a consultation. And when I got to Allen Gardens, I realized I couldn't walk. And that's my happy place.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, one Christmas time or solstice time, they had 700 poinsettias in that beautiful, I don't know what it's called. I got to find out what the name of the glass building is that's being renovated. Anyway, sometimes I just go and I say, do you need some gloves? Do you need socks? Do you want a toque? A sweater? I go, with some hoodies or fleecies, and it's cold at night. I mean, I was seeing a fellow sleeping across from where I live on the steps, and he had no blanket on, and he was using the step as a pillow. And sometimes I go over and I give bananas or extra food I have, and I work with Building Roots, which is an initiative that feeds people I was mentioning in the last show, I believe. And we give out fresh produce that we grow, some of it at Ashbridge Farm, which is across from the TTC barn in the east end of the city, not in the beach. It's west of the beach on the north side.
North side. It's not near Riverdale, is it?
It's Not really. Not really.
It's not that far.
But that's yeah, it's across from the TTC barn, and you can go there. You can go there anytime, as far as I know. There is no washroom, though, I'm telling you, or they won't let you use the washroom in the house there.
It's always a
So that was the Ashbridge family, who I don't know if they bought the land, but it went all the way up to the Danforth, and that originally was indigenous land, because when they dug in that farm, I met an archaeologist at one of our feasts we had for building routes, and I actually held tools, like some people call them arrowheads, but they are tools, and they were used in farming or to scrape hides or to
Wow.
clean fish, and they're made of grandfathers, as they're called, which equals stones,
Wow.
and they're kind of
Grandfathers.
banged or carved, like, you know, and they're, and anyway, I held one like this. This is a fish story. I held one about that big, and it was really great to see all those, and that confirms that that is native land. That
Yeah.
because the government came and they took all the land, and you could homestead. The stolen land was given away for free,
Mhm.
and you could. European families were welcome to come here, and you could get a plot of land and keep it if you built a dwelling on it, as I understand, and you farmed on it.
Mhm.
And I actually grew up on a farm in North York, on Ellerslie Avenue, and I thought we just lived in a big house with food, lots of vegetation, and I wonder why we were always weeding and picking and loving our life. And it was a beautiful space with a little creek at the back, and we grew all kinds of like corn and zucchinis and peppers, and we had fruit trees as well. And
Awesome.
I didn't know it was a farm until um, I went on my school website. I went to a Catholic school. Um, that was not healthy, but anyway, my parents thought I was getting a good Catholic education. So what I'm getting at is that there's nothing wrong with living in the park.
Yeah.
This is where we were. There's teepees there to show that you light a fire, you cook on a fire. Like I figure
Yeah.
people smoke cigarettes and stuff because there's not enough fires in the city. Why are people shooting each other with fireworks?
So what?
We are the light, and we need that element. We're
Yeah.
missing that element, I feel. Don't you?
I agree with you. I guess, how would you respond to the people who are concerned about their well-being being in Allen Gardens?
That's a different issue, isn't it?
I mean, that's, I think, where this all stems from is like, yeah, it's nice to have people outside and people are actually enjoying the space and people are living the way we're supposed to be living. But then a lot of people are like, oh, but there's this, we've seen like a stabbing, there was a stabbing, there's been a murder. Like, who knows if someone just loses their mind on someone?
Yeah. In
And it goes
actuality,
crazy.
it's not necessarily the people in the encampment. It can be anybody doing that. I know one act, the stabbing.
Mhm.
It's not even the people that are staying there. It's the people that are drifting through. That I can't say what reasons that the violence is happening, because
Yeah.
it's violence, it's greed, it's like turf wars, cigarette.
Yeah.
Do you have a cigarette? No. It's mental health, including drug and alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the people in the encampment are on drugs or alcohol. That's not what I'm saying.
No. And
Right?
But this is just something I came up with in my head, and this is probably a stupid idea. Like,
No idea is
but
stupid.
but it's an idea.
Really.
Which is, I feel like a lot of the, I'm not actually sure what all the activity is that happens in Allen Gardens or any of the big encampments, but I assume that the police are usually an oppressive force towards the people in that, especially since they tear down people's tents after a day of them not being there and such and such. But what if you had like
I'm not sure if
a
that's the
police
police, but it's
or
a
security?
certain. I'm not sure if it's the city, but there's these. I think it's the city has some or somewhere. It's not police. They have some branch that goes in, and if someone wasn't in their tent for that night, or if it was like thought of as abandoned, they would just take it, and they have a truck and they pitch everything without any notice. And some people have to stand up for others and say they were in there last night. Like, how cruel is taking all someone's belongings
Yeah.
and just taking everything along with their shelter?
I
Like,
think
that is so, that this cruel. Why do we do this to the most vulnerable people?
also
People with
yeah.
disabilities, indigenous people. I'm not saying that indigenous are homeless. Everybody is homeless. Every nation and every culture has homeless people.
Yeah.
A lot of people, look at people coming from war-torn countries.
No, but like they should also just leave them there for other people. Like if it's gone, if a tent is vacant for a week, why doesn't someone else just come in and live
Well, there's a way to do this. It doesn't matter if you're in, I mean, everything matters, but if you're in a co-op, if you're in a condo, if you're in a TCHC building, there's systems and ways put in place.
in it?
We have garbage disposals. Like, why not just educate people and start putting, I noticed finally they put some outhouses. Did you notice? At Allen Gardens.
Oh, really? I didn't actually see them. But...
So there were some outhouses. So that's giving people dignity. Finally, I saw one garbage bin. Like, put some extra garbage bins.
Yeah.
Put some money. I mean, you
Apparently they have actually put a lot of money into the Allen Gardens. According to
well, that's great to hear.
according to the
So things are changing
let me see what it-
because, you know, you'll have a lot more people wandering around the streets and dying in the streets if we don't care for them. They need care, these people. A little extra care.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We all say, oh, it's the taxpayers that pay for all this or whatever. At
No,
the same time, that could be your uncle or your auntie or,
yeah,
you know, your brother or whoever.
exactly.
like,
No, according
let's-
to change.org, the city's put in $500,000 into it in the last few years. I believe.
500K, that's great to
500,000
hear.
today, has been spent by the city. Yeah, and a few other things too. These by providing policing, public health services, garbage cleanup, toilet facilities, and assistance with tax return filing for housing applications.
Oh, I completely forgot. You know what I was on about when I was talking about the fireworks and the pyrotechnician stuff and all that? Oh, I did mention him.
You did.
Anyway,
The life
in
that's missing.
in our safety networking meeting, we were trying to address what can we do about this? What can the parents? So I've suggested take your youth, your children, your adults, your whoever, to a professional fireworks. I know it can be a long way. It can be costly to get on the TTC. You know, not everybody lives in the East End where the locations of the fireworks are. But what I have volunteered in the process of volunteering to do is actually to go with the police officers into the schools and do talks. I'm a certified facilitator and I am certified in pyrotechnics,
Yeah.
fireworks. So I'm going to make an effort and go talk to the children and youth in the schools for a start. And I
Yeah.
talk to everybody. I'm a Gemini. My birthday's coming up. I'm not telling you the party location because it's going to be, I will.
Oh, you'll tell me.
I'll
but
tell
we're
Gabe
not
because
telling
we're
you guys.
friendly. Yeah.
I'm a Cancer, so my birthday's also coming
Oh.
up soon. And on that note, we're gonna wrap our episode. This is News and Views with Regent Park. My name's Gabriel. This
And
is-
I'm Thundercloud, loud and live in Regent Park.